Welcome to the We're Not Lawyers podcast. When we talk about family law, and what else do we talk about?
Family law.
Family law, men's rights, all
Men's
that kind
rights?
of stuff. Yeah. But nothing that we say, nothing that I say at least,
Nothing that we say can be
construed as
legal advice.
legal advice. This is the...
We're not lawyers.
We're not lawyers.
No.
It's the name of the podcast.
So you have something for us there?
Yeah, it must be true if we said this.
Is it from one of the men's groups, or is it from family advocacy?
Well, this is an often raised question on forums.
One of many.
Yeah, one of many. What men tend to ask, apart from what the hell just happened. And this is actually a version of what just happened. The question is that often heard: what if I'm falsely accused of domestic violence?
Falsely accused of domestic violence. Well, in most cases, you'll probably find that most men have been accused of some form of domestic violence.
Well, yes. So let's just make some assumption here that what they're talking about when they type this on their little keyboards at home is that they've got some sort of family violence order that's been put on them, like a temporary order is normally what happens first.
An IVO.
An IVO or an AVO or an ADVO.
Well, an IVO is an interim violence order.
Yes.
Which you haven't had a chance to argue in court yet?
No, they're made without the respondent there.
Correct.
Often, and it's just on the
assumption.
Yeah, the assumption that someone complaining is going to be legitimate in their complaint.
Yeah.
That is the believe all allegations doctrine.
Do they need evidence?
No, they don't. They don't need evidence.
Really?
I can't believe you look surprised.
I am surprised.
So
no evidence.
It's a very serious matter, John. This is nothing to laugh at. No, so they don't need evidence. They tend to call the police. And I saw this ridiculous post, which you might want to comment on, that it's actually easier to order a pizza than it is. So it's more difficult than getting an IVO applied to someone.
Well, it just happens that I know the person who did actually post that.
Oh.
Yes.
Jeez. Oh, we're being implicated here. Is that an allegation?
It is an allegation. It's a proven allegation.
Substantiated.
Rubber stamped, exactly.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, the post does actually state that it's easier to get an IVO out of somebody these days.
I mean, everyone was listening to you and expecting to have to think the reverse of what you said anyway, so it's fine. No, I joke.
Well, again, I'm not an expert at all this anyways. I'm pretty new to all this.
No. Well, as we are. What I was going to say is, having read through the Criminal Procedure Act from a while ago, to do with, I don't think that they never called them intervention orders, they were preventative orders or something like that. And it used to be the case that if you're going to apply for one of these things, that the officer has to be on site to see what's happened. So, for example, that there's a bruise, there's some scratches, there's some doors have been kicked in, or maybe the dog is yelping. I don't know. But nowadays, in order to get one of these interim orders applied, or say in other states, because just to for those people outside of Victoria who don't want to feel left out, they have their temporary, like they'll call it temporary or interim or some other word that sounds like that. And you no longer need to have a police person on
site.
God, maybe I am a leftist. I said police person. What does it say? Policeman. Right, on site.
Policy officer.
Yeah, policy officer. You don't have to have one of those on site anymore.
No.
All you need to do is to communicate with the police, which you can do via phone, but you can also do it via email and carrier pigeon.
Yes.
I just made up that last bit. But the point is, you
make the claim.
You just make the claim, and the police will take it to the court, depending on the seriousness of it. Will be the conditions, and so that's so the question is, what do you do? And most people's reaction is to breach it, and say,
And how would they do that?
Well, by communicating or by breaching any of the conditions that they specify on these orders, which might be, you can't come within like a certain, like say 200 meters
Yep.
of the AFM, right, the affected family member.
Yep.
Or I really do sound like an expert when I talk like that. The AFM. So that's what it would be. That you can't come within a certain distance. You can't communicate via email, text, phone, and you can't get someone else to do that on your behalf. On your behalf.
Absolutely.
Right, which is it's very annoying if you've got one of those orders and you're like, I'll just.
What am I supposed to do?
I'll get my mum. I'll get my mum to contact my ex-missus and tell her, listen, you've got this all wrong. But you can't do that.
Can't do that.
No, you'll be breached, and because a breach is of the law,
it's criminal.
It is criminal. So even though it can be procedural, again, procedural just means that you could violate it, but if it wasn't on the actual conditions, it would be legal to do so.
Yeah.
Right. So you can have a procedural violation, or you could actually, go around and commit some other more serious act. But the question is, what do you do? Well, most people would go, I'm going to contact a lawyer. What do you think of that idea? I mean, we've talked a bit about what lawyers will do for you.
We have. Look, the first thing that you need to do is, obviously, in some cases, some people choose to use a lawyer, engage a lawyer to do all the communication for you. Secondly, you could look up a service.
Oh, a service.
Yeah, there's a service out there called Fair Income Legal.
Fair Income Legal.
You can take a look at them and basically start filing your paperwork.
You can, and I just want to go back to the lawyers and the issues that we are seeing as a community, and we'll say as men, but also women in this situation, is that the lawyer is not necessarily going to advocate for you, and we've talked about this often. In fact, what they are doing is a similar word to advocate, but it's abdicate. That is, they're saying, I'm not going to sort of touch this. And the thing is with these interim orders is that they often make you go through a third party, like a lawyer or a mediation service, in order to make arrangements with seeing your children, which is what we are focused on with this podcast, is how to make it so that dads can see their kids.
Yep.
How we can get orders in the court that are reflecting that desire, and to navigate some of the issues like this, like when you're accused of domestic violence. So we'll wrap that up right there. So
we will.
We've just had a
little interruption.
A little interruption. Anyway, my name's David.
I'm John.
And this is the We're Not Lawyers podcast.
Till next time.